I remember when I got my first electric, I was so pumped, but I was not ready for how different the electric guitar was from the acoustic. So today I want to talk about 7 mistakes that I made in my transition from acoustic to electric. And if I would have known how to fix these, it would have saved me years of struggling. It would have made me a way better band member and a lot less of a pain in the rear to my former worship pastors and music directors. So if you or someone you know is making that transition from acoustic to electric, hang with me because I want to save you a lot of pain. All right, counting down from 7. Style is not about your personal identity. It's about team unity. For electric guitarists, the style conversation is very, very important. And it's just not as much of an issue with acoustic guitar as it is electric. But I think the topic of style is grossly misunderstood in today's worship band. In one sense, style is considered like a facet of someone's personality maybe, or their wiring. I play this way because it's just my style. In other cases, style is kind of written off as an exercise in frivolous preference. And so it's often shoved to the side as like, when we get the fundamentals down and when we get all of our ducks in a row, then maybe we'll have the luxury of having the style conversation. Well, this is a tragedy. And this is why I'm starting with this one, because I think style is maybe one of the first conversations we need to have as a band, because style is not an exercise in your personal preference. Style is your band's communication strategy. Blues is a communication strategy. It's a collection of different instruments and techniques and approaches that all work together to achieve a certain kind of sound. And modern worship music is its own style, and you need to know, is your band focusing on that style? There's been many times that I've mentioned to an electric guitar player, hey, could we not play that? Could we try something else and do this instead? And the reply from the guitar player was, well, I don't know, it's not really my style. We're on a team, and we need to understand the bigger picture, what it is we're trying to accomplish, and get on board with that. That approach you take is your style. Just remember, there's nothing that you're going to be able to accomplish by yourself that will ever be bigger than what your team can accomplish together. So value less your personal preference and value team unity more. Okay, number 6, imitation doesn't hinder your creativity, it fuels it. I think there are like 3 stages to playing guitar. I think the first stage is like the participation stage. And this is like when the best you can do is the least that's required. This is like it's like your bare minimum just to get the song played. What I wanted to do is I wanted to go to this like creative decision-making stage, which is super important, which I want everyone to be there. But I did not want to go through the imitation phase. I wanted to do my own thing. And so I just jumped right to making decisions and trying to be creative. The problem was when it came time to think and play within the style that was modern worship music, guess what I had to bring to the table? And you know what I did bring to the table? All the other styles that I had more fun playing, I brought those into the songs that didn't really need tons of Stevie Ray Vaughan licks. Am I right? Come on. And I figured that if the song was something that I shaped and created, then it was like more authentic then. And conversely, anyone who goes out there and just like imitates the exact part from the album is a bunch of posers, and they're a bunch of copycats, and they're super uncreative, and they're all just trying to be cool or something. Well, maybe some people are, all 4 of those, but we can't jump to that conclusion. And we cannot miss the imitation phase of playing guitar. Well, I mean, any skill building that you do, imitation is crucial. I mean, after all, as Christ followers, we're called to imitate. You know where I'm going with that. Think apprenticeship. You follow the way of a master. You learn their tricks, their approach, their tools. If we're going to be team players who are going to join with a band in a certain style, we have to be willing to go to that style, the players, the leaders in that style, and imitate what they're doing. We just need to be okay with that. That's part of our growth, and it's going to benefit us in the long run. Don't skip that stage. All right, number 5, you knew this one was coming. Invest in decision-making, not gear. Good decisions overshadow bad gear. If you have a musician that understands how to read the band, they understand the bigger picture of what the song's trying to accomplish, they understand who the different musicians in the band are, they're listening, they know how to shape energy. These are the musicians that you can put mediocre gear, not broken gear, mediocre gear into their hands, and they're gonna do great. They're gonna add tons of value to their band. But here's the thing, bad decisions overshadow good gear. When you make a bad decision with that $500 reverb pedal, all it's gonna sound like is a bad decision bouncing around the Sistine Chapel. Gear cannot fix bad decisions, but I highly recommend keep a very simple pedal setup at first and focus more on your approach. We need to invest in being smarter musicians. It's so important, which leads me to the next one, which is rename boring parts as intelligent parts. We gotta realize, like, most of us who just jam at home, we are used to just playing whatever we want, whenever we want, however we want. When's the last time you picked up your electric guitar and consciously, intentionally, for a long period of time, played a boring part? One of the main things that drives what we decide to play is whether or not it's fun. But here's the reality. When you're an electric guitarist in a band, you have a very specific role. And sometimes to get the job done, that part is not as exciting or as fun as you may want it to be. I really get bummed out when I hear electric guitar players use language like, oh, these parts are just so boring. Like, I get it. I want you to have fun, and I don't want this to be a drag, but we gotta step back. Like, there's a bigger picture happening here. You know you're at a good place when you're able to not care as much about your part and how fun it is, and you're able to step back and listen to the entire song. I don't really care that much anymore if my part was super fun. I genuinely enjoy when the song accomplished what it was supposed to. I enjoy the song. I'm just one member of that. But let's stop using the word boring and let's replace it with intelligent. Which prepares the way for number 3, which is harness the power of sustain and silence. When you played acoustic on the band, you were kind of like the steady Eddie. You just sort of like played your 16th note patterns or whatever, and you just did that for most of the song. Now, I know there are lots of ways to play acoustic and you don't have to strum those all the time, I get it. But in modern worship music, that's generally the role of an acoustic player. It's not a very broad role. The acoustic guitar is a percussive instrument, so we're not really doing our job unless we're strumming a lot. And so this is such a common mistake that acoustic players make when they transition to electric. They just start strumming the electric just like it's an acoustic. But you can't do that because that's not your role as an electric guitarist. You have a different role. And what we have to embrace in the tone of electric guitar is that we have the beauty and the power of sustain that we can take advantage of. I know you can feel pressure to strum when you're playing, but don't. Sometimes a chord that you just strum once and let sustain sounds better than if you were just to keep strumming. I mean, remember, every time you strum, it's like you're killing the sustain of the guitar. That's dramatic, sorry. Every time you strum, you're murdering the sustain on your guitar. I'm kidding, but here's a little trick to help build sustain in your playing. Grab your electric guitar, use like a drive tone that you have, something that's a little heavier, and pick a chord progression that you commonly play. Now do this, just strum the chord once and then count how long you can hear the sustain of that chord. Get to know that sustain potential of your guitar. All right, number 2, I wish I understood the law of unimpressiveness when I first started playing. Some of you are in situations where you're sharing the stage with guitarists who are way better than you. And this can be a very intimidating situation. And I know some of you out there haven't even joined your church's worship band yet, but you're kind of intimidated too because the players on stage are so much better than you. But listen, here's the beautiful thing about impressive players. I call it the law of unimpressiveness. For every really, really good impressive player on stage, they need 1 to 2, maybe 3 unimpressive players to support that role. You can be one of the most valuable members of your band by being willing to be unimpressive. The presence of really good musicians on stage doesn't mean that you don't belong there. It means that they need you. And this is even more so the case in modern worship music. Because I don't know if you've heard any of the songs recently, but when's the last time you heard just a screaming guitar solo on an album? Electric guitars and soloing have really taken a back seat from especially the way they were in like the late 90s. Now, I'm not against soloing, but I think this is a really cool move because this is in a sense like the whole band is saying, hey, none of us are the impressive piece in this team. What's really impressive is the story we're telling. All right, and finally, number 1 piece of advice I would have for those of you transitioning from acoustic to electric guitar is watch YouTube less and play guitar more. Now, before the YouTube police come and knock down my door, let's talk about this. Right now on your phone, your TV, or your computer, whatever you're watching this on, you have a big long list of suggested videos. And you know as well as I do, that list is not accidental. There is a very, very sophisticated algorithm on the other side of those suggestions that has decided out of millions and millions of videos that you could potentially watch, it believes that that list of videos have the greatest chance of keeping you on YouTube watching more videos. This means that the YouTube algorithm has zero interest in you being a better guitar player. It couldn't care less about you being a great guitar player in your worship band. All it wants you to do is just keep watching videos. It wants you to keep watching no matter the cost. Can you imagine if we spent even half the amount of time we do on YouTube actually playing our guitar, actually engaged in careful repetition? Can you imagine how much better we'd all be? Now, I love YouTube for skill building. There are so many resources that we have available to us. But at some point, you gotta pick up your guitar. That's why in a lot of my videos, I was like, you know, if people are gonna stay on YouTube, we might as well get them playing something during the video. Because what we know from YouTube doesn't really matter. All that matters is what ultimately translates to our hands. So maybe I'm one of the few YouTubers who say something like this, but at some point, you just gotta turn these videos off and play guitar. Guys, if you have any questions, email me at cj@don'tgiveup.pro. Now let's turn off this video and let's go play guitar.